Hello there monsters and men, ladies and people, and welcome to Recharging. This is the new... Yeah, who am I kidding? This is not a new car. I mean, it is not even an EV. No. This is a Mitsubishi Colt 1.1 liters from 2009. And this is actually our second car. Yeah, a car that is fairly efficient, but more important, it is reliable and it fits a baby stroller. A baby stroller? Yes, a baby stroller, because me and my wife are expecting a baby. And that is the reason why we started looking for another car. But what did we previously own then? Well, we owned this car. And now you see a picture of a Ford Fiesta. Yes, a Ford Fiesta diesel to be precise. A car that we initially bought as our second car because I worked for a company. I had a company car, a Hyundai Kona electric from 2019, but then I switched company, I had to hand over the car, and then, well, the Ford Fiesta was our only car. And I have to say, even though it burned fuel, and for some people maybe even worse, it burned diesel, we were very happy with it. It was insanely efficient. I mean, without trying, we could do 30 kilometers on 1 liter of diesel. That is insane. And we never had any major issue with it. But again, me and my wife are expecting a baby, so we wanted a bigger car. And also the Ford Fiesta, well, it was getting older, some major maintenance was coming up, so again, time for another car. And of course, it had to be electric. So what do you do when you want to buy another car? Well, first of all, you think of criteria, and second, you make a shortlist. So, what were my criteria? Well, again, we are expecting a baby, so the car has to be big enough to fit baby stuff. Second, the car has to be efficient. And third, this might be a weird one for you, I want to drive at least 200 kilometers while driving 130 kilometers an hour. And the reason for that is that, well, most of my family and friends live 100 kilometers away, so I want to drive there quickly and home without needing to charge. So based on those criteria, my personal shortlist consisted of 3 cars. First of all, the ID.3/Cupra Born, second, the MG4, and third, the Kia e-Niro. And yes, I have looked at a Tesla Model 3, but the standard range Tesla Model 3 with the LFP battery was still too expensive, and buying an earlier model, well, the build quality can be a bit hit and miss. And yes, you may have good experience with it. And yes, I know the Tesla Model 3 is still the EV king. But again, personally, buying an earlier model Tesla Model 3, I did not dare to do it. So again, let's get back to my personal shortlist. Because first, the MG4. Why didn't I buy an MG4? Well, the MG4 is smaller than a Cupra Born, ID.3 or Kia e-Niro. The infotainment, it's not that great. And second, the efficiency, well, it is also not as efficient as a Kia e-Niro or ID.3 and Cupra Born. Then second, the ID.3 Cupra Born. Well, personally, I would never choose an ID.3 above a Cupra Born because, well, the Cupra Born has a better interior and is better looking. Also, the Cupra Born drives great, better than the e-Niro, I have to say that. But the range. The Cupra Born can be efficient, but in winter, autumn, it can also not be efficient. And with the Cupra Born, well, I doubt that I could do 200 kilometers while driving 130 kilometers an hour in autumn or winter. So yeah, the range of the Cupra Born again was not great, and that is the reason why I did not choose that car. So that leaves us with one car, right? Here it is, our 2022 Kia e-Niro. Yes, a 2022 model, so that means a 11 kilowatt onboard charger as standard. That was a must. So, is a Kia e-Niro the most exciting car to own? I've got to be honest, no, it is not. But it is decent. Decent? Whoa, that sounds extremely boring. And maybe, well, maybe it is boring, but again, I think the Kia e-Niro is a decent and good family car. And here are the reasons why we bought it. Let me first start with the boot, because the boot, even though it is not the biggest boot in class, I have to admit that, it is big enough to fit a stroller and some other baby stuff. And also, what I have seen on the internet is that people took out the boot floor, they took out all the foam and plastic that is under the boot floor, they created a new boot floor because this one doesn't fit anymore then. But if you do that, you can create a deeper boot and you can increase the boot space by 25 to 30%. I mean, that is a significant amount. The same thing that applies to the exterior also applies to the interior. No, it is not the most exciting place to be in, but again, it is decent. I still have physical buttons here for my climate control and to control my media, so that is a double thumbs up from me. Besides that, I have good seats with plenty of adjustability, plenty of storage space, cubby here, cubby there, huge storage space there. I have an infotainment system that still gets updates and has support for Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. And even though this is not the most luxurious version, I do have things like heated seats, heated steering wheel, adaptive cruise control with lane keeping assist, blind spot monitoring. And yes, this is an older car, but there is an app available, so when it is cold, the window is frozen, I open the app and I can preheat the car. I mean, I have nothing to complain here. So how does the Kia e-Niro drive? Well, you have probably already guessed it, because just like the exterior and the interior, it doesn't drive sporty. It does not get exciting. And also, the Kia e-Niro is not the most quiet EV out there. A Volkswagen ID.3, for example, is more quiet than this car. But it brings us from A to B in all comfort. Again, it has good seats with plenty of adjustability, nice fixed steering wheel with plenty of adjustability. We have no trouble finding a good driving position in this car. And also, getting from A to B, well, we can do that with plenty of power for us, because this is the 64 kilowatt hour version, and that version has 204 horsepower and 395 newton meters of torque, and it can do 0 to 100 in under 8 seconds. And again, that is plenty of power for our family car. The only downside is that it is front wheel drive, so when you floor the accelerator pedal at a traffic light, the front wheels do tend to spin. And now the strongest point of the Kia e-Niro, if you ask me, is real-world range. Because the WLTP range of the Kia e-Niro with the 64 kilowatt hour battery pack that this one has is 455 kilometers. And in spring or summer, yes, you can do that 455 kilometers in the real world with this car. I have even read stories of people doing more than 455 kilometers on a single charge with this car, and that, well, that is impressive. I live pretty central in the Netherlands, and well, as some of you may know, the Netherlands is not that big. And also, the speed limit during the day here in the Netherlands is 100 kilometers an hour. So let's do worst case scenario. In winter, or at least the winters we get here, when driving on the highway doing that 100 kilometers an hour, maybe sometimes a bit faster, don't tell anyone, we get a range of at least 350 kilometers. And with 350 kilometers, we can get pretty much anywhere in the Netherlands and home without needing to charge. And also, doing 130 kilometers an hour on the highway, we get a range of at least 250 kilometers with this car, which is really, really good. So yeah, just the efficiency and range of this car is perfect for us. And then going from one of the strongest points of the Kia e-Niro to one of the weakest points of the Kia e-Niro, its fast charging capabilities. Because the maximum fast charging speed of the e-Niro is around 77 kilowatts. And charging it from 10 to 80% will take us around 45 minutes. And for today's standard, that is pretty long, because most cars nowadays do it in around 30 minutes or even faster. But then the question rises, How many times do we have to fast charge? Well, again, when we stay in the Netherlands, never really, so we only have to fast charge when we take a longer trip, when we go on holiday, for example. So then, is it really that big of a deal that we have to travel 15 to 30 minutes longer because the fast charging is not so quick? Well, for us, it is not a big deal. So yes, the fast charging of the Kia e-Niro is not that great, but it is less of a problem for us. So that were the reasons why we bought a Kia e-Niro, and I have to say we are really happy with our choice. And you will definitely see more videos with this car on this channel, no doubt. But I do wonder one thing though. If you had to buy a second-hand EV in the segment and price range of the Niro, would you also buy a Niro or would you buy another EV? Let me know in the comments below. And that was also the end of the video. If you liked it, please give a like and subscribe. And then, thank you a lot for watching, and as always, to be continued.